Honestly, my eyes feel really tired, but my body feels awake. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Angel and today we're going to be filming a little plan with me for 2022. So in this video, not only are we planning for 2022, we're also reflecting on 2021, creating a vision board for 2022 and showing you guys my past and present / future Notion page. So without further ado, let's get on into the video. So for those of you who haven't seen my November plan with me for 2021, be linked up here and here if you want to watch that video after this one. But here is my 2021 Notion page. Welcome. Here it is in all its glory. The original template is by Jules Acree and it will be linked in the description box down below. Here are just my modifications to it. Also, if I'm looking to the side a lot, it's because that's where my laptop is and this is where you guys are. So I'll give you guys a quick little tour. So first thing we've got up here is my 2021 vision board, which is also my desktop background. And we've got a little calendar GIF. First thing we've got is my calendar and then my link to my academic page. For this video, I won't be showing my academic planning for next year or any reflections for academic year this year. But if you guys would like to see some academic planning or what my academic Notion page looks like, drop a comment down below and I will possibly make one in the future. So my word of the year for 2021 was growth. It was all about trying to become a better version of myself. So I've got a little Google definition here, just because it looks more fancy, that's all. And then we've got my year up close, which is divided into quarters. And then I've got my personal goals and my academic goals. And I've got my routines, just for documentation purposes, my reflection, and my to-do. Which I don't know why it's on this page. First thing I'm going to be going through is my December review, and then we'll move on to my end of quarter 4 review, and then my annual yearly review. So I'm going to fill the December one out really quick. Okay, so I finished filling out my December reflection page. Now it's time to do the quarter 4 one. One thing I would like to note for next year is that I feel like I should be utilizing the quarterly system that I have set up in Notion, but I feel like I've just been going through month by month, which is fine, but I feel like it's something I need to improve on next year. Okay, so I've finished my end of quarter reflections and I'm going to get on to my annual reflection. This template is from Unjaded Jane, which can be found on her channel, but I will also link it in the description box down below. Although these couple of segments are going to be a lot of reflections, I feel like it is really important to take time to think about areas where you have grown, that you like, that you didn't like, so that you can implement changes into 2022. At the top, we've got some sections for goals. We've got fitness, skills, learning YouTube, personal projects, academic, and then we've got reflections, which you guys can read on the screen here, and 2022 growth. I very much, especially like this bit down the bottom, this year I will open myself up to, I will learn more about, I will say no to, I will say yes to. I haven't seen something like this before in other review templates, so I thought it was something worth mentioning. Again, same process, I'm going to fill this out, I'll be back in a bit. I read somewhere or either saw on TikTok that you should be writing your goals in present tense, so by affirming them into the universe. So say for example, you really want to run a marathon next year, instead of writing running a marathon, you would write, I am going to run a marathon. Another thing I like doing is putting little check marks next to my goals, so at the end of the year when I review things, I can just click the little check button and it's just so satisfying to see that you've reached your goals. Also referencing my plan with me for November, making sure we're making SMART goals. The analogy will be on the screen again to remind you guys. Going back to Unjaded Jade's template, not to mention, I did add some questions for myself, like things I overcame, something new I tried, important people this year, what I wish I did differently. Now, here is something I'm excited to share with you guys. I can't wait for you guys to see it when it's done. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it looks really good. But we're now moving on to the vision board section of this video. I love making vision boards, little mood boards. It makes me so happy. But basically what I did this year is I made my vision board for 2021, my desktop wallpaper, so that when I was using my laptop or swiping through screens, I could visualize and affirm pictures of what I wanted my life to look like, what I wanted my goals to look like for this year. One thing I need to note to myself is to save a digital copy of my background, because what happened this year is that I lost my background and I got some of the pictures back, but I wasn't able to fully recreate it. So in a way I kind of made it my own, but not really the point. So let me just record my screen. Here is my Pinterest board for 2022, which will be part of what's on my background. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there are some pictures here with significant others / potential relationships. And I've put this in this board. I'm so sorry for the background noise. I'm not sure if I want to manifest that into a reality, because I'm just enjoying being with myself right now and learning more about myself before I can potentially commit to someone else. So I don't think that's going to be included. But just by the way, if you saw that and were wondering, also Canva is my literal website for everything. I use it for my thumbnails, I use it for things I do in videos, I use it for backgrounds, I use it for school projects. Love Canva. Canva, please sponsor me if you're watching this. So all my images are uploading to Canva. I'm just going to give you guys a rundown of what I do. So basically you would go to the top right hand corner of the screen and press add custom template. You would search up the pixel dimensions for the device you're currently using. So as a Mac, mine is 2560 pixels by 1600. You just drag all your images on the side and then you start putting them in. Here is my final wallpaper. I really love this. It looks so good. I'm so sorry about the background noise. I'm really thinking about getting a microphone or something in the future, so I'm sorry about that. But anyways, back to the video. Okay, here is my 2022 Notion page. Looks a bit plain right now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my cover. My cover for 2021 was my current affirmations wallpaper, and it's going to be the same this year. It looks a little funny. Okay, so let's go through my modifications for the new year. So my word for 2022 is balance. I mean balance in terms of a balanced lifestyle, in terms of balancing different aspects of my life, such as my personal life, YouTube, academics, and then we've got my year up close. Let me just zoom in really quick so you can see. Here are my little icons for the new year. They're like little plants, and you know, Q1 represents a little sprout of growth, and then Q4 is like the full blossoming, thriving growth. So I hope I'm manifesting that into the new year. And same thing, we've got like a little bee, a little dancing turtle. I think that's so cute. I'm gonna write out my January things and my Q1 goals, and then I'm gonna go through and do all my other goals. Okay, so I've set up my January Notion page. First things, we've got the dot, and I've got my top 3 priorities, and my monthly challenge is to stretch at least 3 times a week. Again, reminding you of the SMART goals, which will be on the screen. You want to do things that align with who you want to be, what your goals are for the year, or your resolutions. So pick goals that will fit into your routine rather than taking time out just to achieve those goals. I've added some new questions for 2022. So in addition to what did you like about this challenge, did you find it hard to commit to, and would you redo this challenge, I've added how hard is it to commit to, how hard is it on a scale of 1 to 10. So we're gonna have some metrics going on. What did you find interesting, and how can this challenge be improved? Just so we can further some development in the goals. I'm also going to add a habit tracker and a sleep tracker into my 2022 Notion. Also, one other thing I like to do is write down my morning and night routines, which would be like my ideal situation, just so I can have an archive of what's currently happening in my life, and just to visualize what would happen every single day to get into the new year productive mindset. And with that, I finished setting up my 2022 Notion page. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.